Okay, first things first, the indictment. All right, so here we go. Here are the charges and how many years Trump faces in federal Mar-a-Lago indictment, New York Post story. Number one, retaining classified document. Trump is charged with hoarding classified material at Mar-a-Lago with a maximum sentence of 10 years or a fine. Number two, conspiring to obstruct justice. Trump is accused of instructing others to mislead government officials during the retrieval of the classified documents, constituting an obstruction of justice charge. This carries a maximum sentence of 10 years or a fine. Number three, withholding a document. Investigators allege that Trump purposefully retained some of the top secret government documents, which is authorized, and it carries a maximum, and carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. Number four, corruptly concealing a document or record. Trump is charged with both threatening others to mislead a federal investigation and illegally retaining classified documents, which carries a punishment up to 20 years. Concealing a document in a federal investigation, Trump faces an additional 20-year sentence if convicted. Number six, scheme to conceal. Trump is accused to knowingly hiding the classified documents while serving in a government branch, carrying a maximum of 5 years. If deemed domestic terrorism, the charge could be as high as 8 years. And last but not least, seven, false statements and representation. Trump could face charges for lying about keeping top secret document papers in his private home with a maximum sentence of 5 years. Quite frankly, all these numbers are high. All they care about is to be able to put this guy in prison for about 17 months, 19 months. That's all they care about. If they can put him in prison until December of 2024, they're happy. That's what they care about. Tom, when you hear these stories, what do you think about?
Well, I think about Eric Adams. Remember Eric Adams, the indictment that came in New York, and it was like he listed like 14 things. Was it 14 counts or something crazy in New York? And it really boiled down to one thing. This is one thing. Let's take a look at this. And this is what the government does, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they do. They cut the onion into thin slices and they keep making you cry over it. Think of this. What if a teacher said to you, because you yell at the teacher, that says, you're staying after school for charge 1, interrupting the teacher, charge 2, raising your voice, charge 3, yelling at a teacher. Your parents would say, what the hell are you doing? You're just keeping him after school for one thing. You yelled in class and you got upset with you. How are you keeping him 3 days after school and you're making up these charges? That's what they're doing here. Watch this. Retaining classified documents, withholding a document, corrupt concealing a document, concealing a document, a federal investigation, scheme to conceal. That's all the same thing, hiding a document. And then the other one is he lied and obstructed justice. They say conspiring to obstruct justice, false statements, representations to obstruct. They're really saying two things. You had documents and you were not honest with us about it. And they're trying to cut this thing, PBD, into multiple charges. That way they can keep putting the years on it and it gives them something to settle on. The federal prosecutor, here's what they really want. They want a settlement in which he agrees not to be running and he agrees to go away. That's what the design is here. They're trying to wound his image in public. I'm not sure they really want the DeSantis to come out better on this. Very politically charged, but this is how the government does it. They cut things into little slices to make it seem bigger.
I think, Pat, because we were getting on the flight, right? I think it's the timing of this, right? Because Biden unleashed this indictment on the same day that the House Republicans were finally able to publicize the evidence that 5 million from Ukraine, the Burisma story, went to so when I tell people to wake up, there is no coincidence. It happens on purpose. They've weaponized the Department of Justice. And it's like, think about it. We get on the plane, one story comes out. We land, that one hits. Because now, what's the main story, Pat? It's Trump. It has nothing. Nobody cares about the Biden situation, and Biden is on camera. Do you remember that, Rob? When he was like, "I'm not." They wanted $1 billion, and he goes, "I told them, guess what? You ain't getting it."
This right here.
Unless, and you know why, Pat? Unless they fire the guy that was going after Hunter. This is the video right here.
Can you press?
This is evidence.
We've all seen this.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't.
Wow.
So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch.
But they're laughing.
Got fired.
They're laughing.
And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
You know the prosecutor was, Pat? The guy that was investigating Hunter and Burisma. Like, when are people going to wake up and be like, bro, the proof is right in front of your face and nothing happened?
Do you have that article that just came out, by the way? This is the one from Joe Biden allegedly paid $5 million by Burisma executive as part of a bribery scheme, according to FBI document. This is not like, keep going, Lord. Let me, so President Joe Biden, let me read that whole thing by executive. Go a little high. Yeah, but executive of the Ukraine natural gas firm Burisma, where his son Biden, Hunter, sat on the board. A confidential human source told FBI during a June 2020 interview. Sources familiar with told Fox News Digital. The sources briefed Fox Digital the FBI generated FD 1023 form alleging a criminal bribery scheme between then Vice President Joe Biden and a foreign national that involved influence over U.S. policy decisions. The form dated June 30th, 2020 is the FBI's interview with a highly credible confidential source who detailed multiple meetings and conversations he or she had with a top Burisma executive over the course of several years starting 2015. Is there anything else below that for us to see? I mean, that in itself is plenty, ain't it?
Of course it is. It's not rumors of Russian collusion and all the BS. You're seeing a video of a guy saying pay per play. You know what I mean? And you have to fire somebody that's investigating my son, Pat. And the proof is right there, and nothing happens. That's why it's so frustrating for the average person, because it's like, the left runs the show.
And by the way, the FBI, Pat, sent somebody up that recorded it, right? So a assignment officer and a superior agreed to take FD 1023. The FBI will agree not to even talk to people at times when they're trying to cover up, but they actually, so an assignment officer and a superior actually agreed, yeah, let's go file it. That's permanently filed.
That's permanently filed.
Yeah, that's in the record now.
And I want to show this. This just happened this week. Check this out. This is kind of weird when you see this here. Play this clip if you have it, Rob. Disturbing, and the reaction and the answer at the end. I think I showed this to you guys yesterday.
This is amazing.
Watch this. Go ahead.
The opportunities to respond to a former White House stenographer who this month outed you as an anonymous senior administration official who briefed reporters on Air Force Two en route to Ukraine in 2014. He says that you spoke about giving aid to the Ukrainian national gas industry just days after the second son had secretly joined the board of a Ukrainian gas company. He says he considers you part of a corrupt influence peddling conspiracy. He wants to testify to a Delaware grand jury about it. Do you have a response to that? And were you part of a corrupt influence peddling operation involving the Biden family in Ukraine or any other country?
No.
No.
By the way, look at his blink rate. Look at the blink rate.
No.
Any FBI profilers will tell you when the blink rate starts going up is where you have mental stress.
And seeing that, the point that we said yesterday, Pat, that journalism is dead. He says no. Nobody goes into a frenzy and goes, well, wait a minute. Wait, what do you? Nobody says nothing, and they move on to the next story.
I'll tell you what, the music they played in that video
was very.
You would just know he's guilty just by the music.
All those X-Files. Yeah.
Well, here's my thoughts on the Trump situation. Was that me? Is that you?
No, that was
Tom. You know, a lot of people use the word witch hunt, right? And I have the definition of that. I'm not saying that is a full-on witch hunt, but it definitely smells witch hunty.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's a verb. Witchy. It definitely smells witch hunty. The definition of a witch hunt is a campaign directed against a person or a group holding unorthodox or unpopular views. We could have a debate of whether his views are unpopular. They're certainly unorthodox. But that's what's going on there. And, you know, it came from when witches who were not doing anything witchcrafty were burned at the mother-sucking stake.
Yep.
For allegedly doing things. So it definitely feels like that. We had the conversation with the two FBI agent whistleblowers the other day, and the term weaponized and politicized was being thrown around like a football left and right.
Well, for Biden, I don't think it's the witch hunt. I think it's really the question of which bribe.
Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, we learned with Trump, in Trump's defense, that the Russiagate turned out to be nada. The Ukraine stuff didn't really turn out to be anything.
Hillary.
The impeachment stuff didn't really turn out to be anything. The Stormy Daniels hush money, we'll see what happens with that. Seems very petty. But I think this is just going to be a slow drip. You mentioned Eric Adams. I think you meant Alvin Bragg, the state of New York that is coming after him. Obviously this. And then we're going to see what happens with the Georgia situation. That's him on tape asking to find 11,000 something votes. I think this comes into three camps, kind of like what we talked about with Tate. There's the people who are automatically assuming that Tate is guilty without any evidence, and they've basically anchored to that position. There's nothing you could tell them to prove them otherwise. There's the other camp that's like, he's the man, he's the top G, you can't show me anything that he's done, and I have his back. Totally understand that. And then there's the independent free thinkers that are basically like, let's see what happens here. And I think that's exactly what's playing out with the Trump situation. Number one, you have the MAGA base that is fucking pissed. Okay, there's nobody on the right side of things that is happy about this. They completely are on the camp that this is a freaking witch hunt. I don't know if you saw what Mark Levin had to say.
What?
Dude went off. Steam coming from his ears. People are freaking pissed about this. We talk about the country being divided and divisive. This ain't helping whatsoever. You want to pull up Mark Levin?
Keep what you just had there. No, go
Pretty
back
insane.
to what you had on.
So then you have the Democratic left or the woke left. If you go there, they are ecstatic. They are happy to see this. This is what they wanted. And they want more of this. It's like Trump porn, and the fetish is not going down whatsoever. Then you have the people, and I would say I'm in that camp that's like, all right, this seems a little witch hunty. Let's let the facts play out. Let's see what happens here. This is, you put up a poll up there, how much you trust the Justice Department. I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of people that do not trust what is going on here. And the record is not good for what's going on in Trump world as far as going after the guy and really finding nothing. But you touched on it, Pat. They're going to stop at nothing. And then 18 months from now, if he's not winning the election or even running the election, they're going to be very happy to see this. Last point, this is the cover of Time magazine this week. Right? I don't know if you could see this. It is a picture of Ron DeSantis.
The sanctimonious. And it's what Ron DeSantis means for America. And it is him peeling an orange. You could touch on a double entendre. Very layered.
He's in Florida, the orange, the Sunshine State. But also, there's a big bad orange man that he's looking to unpeel and take down. So I think that's sort of the media's narrative, is that they would love to see Trump out of this thing and DeSantis in there. Let's not forget one thing. At the end of the day, this is the first time in this nation's history that a former president has been formally charged by the federal government. The Stormy Daniels hush money situation was New York State, Alvin Bragg, everything with that. He campaigned on that. At the end of the day, I think it's a sad situation. I think at the end of the day, the number one word that keeps popping up, whether you're on the left or on the right, is accountability. What's the accountability here? Trump being held accountable? Is Biden being held accountable? Is accountability is being distributed evenly? I know a lot of people on the right do not think that
Adam, don't you feel that it's just one side accountability? Like one side gets away with literally murder. One side it's not just one side, it's Trump. It's Trump.
It's
all Trump, dude. It's literally all Trump. And my question was, bro, when are Americans actually going to do something? All we do is talk, Pat. All the right does is bark. When are the people actually going to get involved? And I'm not talking about January 6th BS where they show up and FBI agents are like, hey, let's run into the Capitol. I'm talking about like in Europe, Pat, when Brazil and all those protests, there was millions and millions of people in the street saying enough is enough. What do you think it's going to take for us? Like, what, Pat, every day it's another story of Biden can do whatever he wants. They can do whatever he wants. Hillary can do Russia collusion and all that. When is going to be the breaking point? Or are we too soft? And going back to what Tate always talks about, the masculine men, they're getting rid of all these guys. Those guys are just soft now. Nobody's going in the streets. It's just, I'm going to post a vlog. I'm going to go on and I'm going to post something on Instagram. When is enough, Adam? What do you think is going to be that breaking point?
I'll let Pat answer this, but I think he already hit on it. Once Trump is no longer in the race, boom, they're done with the guy. But while he's in this race, they do not want to see this guy be the president, period, end of story.
They will go after DeSantis, but at a tenth of what they're doing with Trump. Not even close.
Right.
Again, for me, one of the things we were talking about is in Glendale Unified School District. By the way, Glendale, if you're listening to this, we talked about you on Tate's interview, and we have a lot of respect for those parents, man. I mean, I saw one of these clips, which I'll send to you, Rob, here in a minute, and we'll talk about that. The biggest thing is you not being afraid of taking a stand. You not being afraid of taking a stand against what's taking place. There's a part of it where if Glendale Unified School District is sick of it, if they're sick of what's taking place, if they're sick of all the mess that's taking place, you have to go on a strike. It got so bad that the board member shows up and says, hey, what do we need to do to get you guys to stop protesting? You know what the mother said? Now what do you want to do? What about when we first asked you and we talked about this, you didn't listen to us. Now you want us to stop? Now because it's embarrassing what you guys are doing? No. Now we're going to keep talking about this until you stop. And one guy comes in saying, we have, death upon Christian fascists. I don't know if you saw this clip or not, Rob. I showed it to you guys. Yeah. This one guy gets up there and says, death upon Christian fascists. And he's a guy that's holding, if I can find this clip, I think I retweeted it or something. This guy's got very, very good clips about this. Anyways, I'll find it here in a minute. We'll go through it. But people have to, when you do something like this, you're eventually going to wake people up, and they're eventually going to say, I am not going to tolerate this. This is Glendale right now. If you look at this, look at the fights. If you can click on it so they can hear the noise, look what the guy says. Turn on the audio. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Dude, look at that.
He's not giving you audio?
Because, Pat, that's Antifa too, Pat.
Yeah.
Antifa was there getting their asses whooped.
PBD, this is where you grew up. Yes?
Listen, if there's one thing about Armenians, if you do anything to their mothers and their kids, it's game over.
Yep.
This is a very different kind of a culture. This is the types of people you want to have drinks with, you want to have conversation with, you want to spend time with, but God forbid you do anything to their kids. And they're starting to see it right now. It's common sense, by the way. Don't mess with my kids. One of the mothers asked the question, I have to find these clips to show it to you. One of the mothers asked the question and says, why do we have to teach a 4-year-old about what a transgender is? Why do we have to teach a 4-year-old? A 4-year-old. What does a 4-year-old have to learn about being a transgender? Nothing.
Zero.
A 4-year-old has nothing to do to learn about what a transgender is. But they're doing these kinds of things. One Armenian guy was standing across standing across this guy, and this other guy was saying, death upon Christian fascists. And the guy turns around and says, really? He says, you want to burn the American flag? He says, yes. He says, you want to burn the American flag. Do you have that clip? Did I send it to you or not?
I
wish
don't
I could show that.
That was incredible.
He says, you want to burn the American flag? He says, why is it such a big deal if we burn the LGBT, the pride flag, but not a big deal if you burn the American flag? Why is that okay? And anyways, there was a back and forth with them. Yeah. But my point to you is, you got to stand up for your values and principles, especially at a point like this when insanity is taking place.
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing about that is, and this is something that I've learned repeatedly being here at Valuetainment, why is it that people who are not born here, not from America, that came here, that earned the right to be here, are freaking obsessed with America? Why? Because they know what it's like the rest of the world. They know what it's like not to have a voice, not to have your freedoms, to be locked up in jail for bullshit, to not to have food on the plate, not to have an opportunity, to not have money. And they come here and they deeply, with gratitude and appreciation, love what America's about. Then you have these yahoos that are born in America and they just play the fucking victim role, and all they do is want to hate on America. This is why when Sebastian Gorka was here, who just made a call, he said it comes down to two things, two camps: the people that love America and the people that hate America, want to destroy America. And it's sad to say, but that's becoming more and more true every single freaking day.
I found the clip. Can you play this clip? Watch this guy here, what he said.
This is it.
Okay, make it bigger, and let's get the audio, Rob, if we can. Tell me the audio works on this one. Okay, go for it.
I like his
Death to America.
Okay, pause right there. I agree to death to America, but I also agree death to Christian fascists.
Yeah.
This is a white guy saying death to Christian fascists. Okay, keep playing it.
You agree? I agree about death to America. Like, I'll burn the flag.
You will burn this flag? You try.
You try.
Try to burn this flag.
See the pride?
That's a hate crime.
I've got to pace myself.
Listen, my brother, you are saying they burn the flag?
No, I'm not wrapped up.
Listen, when
they're my comrades.
why is it not okay to burn the LGBTQ flag, but it's okay for you to burn this flag? If you don't like this flag, get out of this country.
That's amazing. Let's go, baby.
You can carry it. That's your right to carry it.
This guy believes what he's saying, by the way.
I don't like it, but you can carry it.
By the way, pause. Listen, to the average person, tell me who you want on your side. Tell me who you want to be friends with. Tell me who you want as a citizen. Tell me who's a net positive to your country. Tell me who's more grateful. Tell me who's more thankful for your country. Tell me who's better for you. Tell me who should we should make more into a hero. Who should we protect more? This clown or the other guy that's trying to defend his kids? Do we not value great parents, great fathers, great men, great leaders that are willing to stand up for this incredible country? Do we value that? Then turn that man into a hero. Now, by the way, I would love to have this whole different conversation I was having with Merle Tikrin and my sister about doing an event in Glendale at the biggest hall and bringing all these parents, because I got a message for these Armenian parents that are doing this. And I think, anyways, that's a whole different thing. I don't want to get into it right now. But all I'm saying is I am so proud, and maybe proud is one word, but I want to add another one. I am so proud and honored to have half of my blood be Armenian, to see the representation of these incredible fathers and mothers that are brave to stand up to this pathetic hypocrisy, this bullshit woke agenda that has convinced so many people to think this is noble and we ought to sit there and be tolerant about it. I respect you for fighting. To every single Armenian parent, to every single Armenian individual that you got a sibling, a brother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle. There was a 90-year-old grandmother standing there talking to one of these clowns in a very calm way. Like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. I got so much respect for you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
You know how they say that we're living in a clown world. Up is down, left is right. This is just a case example. Exhibit A, you have an American, born and raised in America, hates America, wants to burn the USA flag. Yep. You have an immigrant, an Armenian immigrant, speaking in a thick accent, defending the flag. One is trying to burn the American flag. One is basically saying, do not touch this fucking flag. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to touch your LGBT woke
rainbow flag.
Do your thing, unicorn. Yep. Don't touch this flag. And you can tell the in his voice, he meant it.
Of course.
He would die for his beliefs because he knows what it's like on the other side of the country, other side of the world. Yep. It's really pathetic. It's a clown fucking world.
It really is.
And if anybody doesn't understand what's going on Twitter here and having the ability to see unedited videos so you can see what is being said, when is being said, this is not getting edited and put on mainstream media. This is not going on the news. On the news, they portray it as a bunch of freak parents that are upset, that are against progressive values and the rights of other people. Baloney. What these people are is upset about what you're trying to teach their kids. And thanks to Twitter, you've got all sorts of these wonderful accounts that I was looking at yesterday, Pat, that was not cut. They're just saying, look at what this person said. Look at what this person said. So you're able to see the truth of what's going on there, including, this woke woman who actually stood and was speaking to the school board, and she mentioned the genocide and denied it. So you had a genocide denier on top of this, hitting to the core of something that happens to the Armenian community, that we need if we've got St. Patrick's Day, if we've got Martin Luther King Day, we need a day on the American calendar to recognize what happened with the Armenian genocide. And you got this woman with and I'm going to call her trans because she had the balls to stand there and make a comment and invoke a comment about the genocide while she's making a comment. So she's clearly poking and triggering these parents that are outside. And I was thankful that I could see a 360-degree view of all these folks to see really what was happening there, because this is not the coverage you were getting on the media.
No, this is, again, respect to you guys for what you're doing. To every single Armenian, and by the way, this isn't just Armenian. I know a lot of Hispanics. They don't stand up for this. I know our company, half of it is Hispanic. And I'm talking every kind of Hispanic. They don't stand up for this stuff. They do not stand up for this stuff, okay? This is not the game they play. This is not what they want to do. They have strong values and principles. They don't support decisions like this. By the way, we're talking about Trump. We're talking about Biden. I posted a poll on Twitter. Can you go to my Twitter account if you could? Just right there, go to my Twitter account and refresh it. Refresh it so all this stuff can be... No, go back to... Yeah, just refresh it from the top. There you go. And then go to the poll and zoom in a little bit. I asked the following question. How much do you trust the current justice system in America? Okay. The answers are, pick one of them, by the way. Just vote on one of them yourself, Rob. Look at that.
Zero.
Okay, look at that right there. 3,574 people voted 44 minutes ago. 61.3% said zero. 27.3% said minimal. Wow. That means 89% said minimal to zero. 89% said minimal to zero. 9.3% said somewhat. 2.1% said fully. I can guarantee you the fully are 100% vaccinated and they have all their
and they wear
boosters.
masks in the car.
They're
100%.
they were wearing masks when they put the fully one right there, by the way. So that just kind of tells you
Hilarious.
the state of the current economy. Anyways, we can go to the next topic. I'll finish it up with you here. You were going to say something?
Well, I mean, it's look, I like just peel this back a little bit. I have conversations with people on all political sides of the aisle, okay? And what I like having conversations with is people that are not Trump fans, not MAGA world, people that voted for Biden and say, what do you think about what's going on here? What do you think about this situation? What do you think about what's happening with Trump? What do you think about what's happening with the LGBT woke? The problem that I have is we're so polarized. It's like, if you voted for Biden, you must be a gay liberal Democrat, obviously, right? It's like, if you voted for Trump, you must have been there storming the Capitol on January 6th. It's a broad spectrum. And what I like understanding is when people are like, yeah, I voted for Biden, but I don't really like what's going on here on the left here. It's not, I've got kids at school. I don't like this shit. And I'm not a Trump supporter, but I don't support this. And it's a very nuanced debate here. Same with this. It's like, I know plenty of Democrat people. They're not woke Antifa people. Just like I know plenty of, DeSantis type people who aren't on the MAGA camp. It's a very nuanced debate here. But when everybody across the aisle, everyone across the spectrum politically is seeing something like this and they're like, this is ridiculous. This is freaking ridiculous. That's when you understand that it's really a situation that is just completely
all right, let's go to the next
nonsensical.
story.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.